to invite our chief guest, Her Royal Highness Ashi Sonam Bechan Wangchuk, for her inaugural speech. As we all know, she is the Princess of Bhutan. She is the daughter of the 4th King of Bhutan, Jigme Singye Wangchuk, and the sister of the 5th King, Jigme Khesar Nagmel Wangchuk. She has a degree in International Relations from Stanford University and a master's in law from Harvard Law School. She has also clerked for the Royal High Court of Bhutan. She currently works at the Judiciary of the Kingdom of Bhutan as President of the Bhutan National Legal Institute. I welcome you, Her Highness, for your kind words.
Your Excellency Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, and distinguished participants, I am privileged to be here in the heart of India, Madhya Pradesh, to inaugurate the 2nd International Conference on Dharma Dhamma. To be so close to Sanchi, where the archaeology of pillars, edicts, and repositories from the 1850s onwards revolutionized our understanding of Buddhist history of India since Emperor Ashoka is an act of pilgrimage for me. I feel reverent and moved to be here for the first time. This is an intellectual, very important intellectual occasion organized by 2 renowned institutions, the Center for the Study of Religion and Society in Delhi and Sanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies. Let me congratulate the patrons, governors, and members of the organizing committee of this conference. The organizing committee is composed of most distinguished and able individuals from all over India. The suggested themes of this conference give us a glimpse of the intellectual breadth and depth. I would like to thank the government of Madhya Pradesh, in particular, Your Excellency, the Chief Minister. I was delighted to receive the kind invitation of His Excellency, the Chief Minister, for me to inaugurate this conference. I am not a scholar of either Hinduism or Buddhism, yet, like me, all Bhutanese are deeply influenced by our culture that rests ultimately and profoundly on the shared heritage of Buddhism and Hinduism. I therefore participate in this conference as a humble Buddhist layperson, and I come here as a friend of India, bearing the good wishes of my King, His Majesty Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, the government and the people of Bhutan, to renew our eternal friendship with India. I have decided not to speak on one of the suggested themes of the conference, for I am a lay Buddhist and I will not be able to address them in a substantive way. There are more than 19 themes, and I am certain the distinguished participants will ably discuss them. I will be talking in a rather humble manner about my own beliefs and what I have learned through the experiences of my country. The theme that guides my talk is values and sustainable happiness. Let me begin by first introducing gross national happiness. I will attempt to do this in the shortest possible way. Gross national happiness refers to the development philosophy of Bhutan, which was conceptualized by His Majesty, the 4th King of Bhutan. In a Buddhist culture, The idea of happiness is an objective of society and is almost taken for granted. Beyond satisfying physical needs, the ideas that commodities and goods have only a limited role in generating happiness is not so new. In the early 1970s, His Majesty King Jigme Singye Wangchuck, still a teenage monarch, first spoke about gross national happiness and questioned why gross domestic product, GDP alone, could be sufficient to deliver happiness and well-being to society. By only using GDP as a guiding force, the first purpose in life becomes earning more to spend more so as to consume more. Today, in our interconnected world, we are exposed to information, consumerism like never before, desires, ideas, and influences. With this trend, family, community, relationships, and most importantly, values as a society that form our unique identities and give us foundations are being weakened. GNH, in light of these challenges, is the means and gives us a wholesome vision and approach to guiding governance and development, or as the fifth king of Bhutan, His Majesty Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuck said, development with values. Today, GNH is applied to policy making by the government in adopting certain indicators which take account of the performance of the country. Bhutan has adopted a GNH index with a total of 9 domains considered vital to the holistic development of the individual and society. They are living standard, health, education, good governance, ecology, community, culture, psychological well-being, and time use. GNH ultimately is a balance for right living and right governance. Right living also depends heavily on right governance. At one level, GNH addresses material needs so that it is adequate for all. On the other level, it addresses the inner parts of us that create a sense of our well-being. It is about finding a long-lasting sense of contentment that does not come at the cost of the well-being of others and at the expense of nature. It is about making human life more meaningful, fulfilling, and sustainable. The interconnectedness of all and the ideas and concepts of cause and effect also require that we think of what is important on an individual level, then as a society, and how we balance our own desires while not compromising the future well-being of one's country and society. Sustaining happiness is not an easy task, but the objective is noble, and the journey must be one of priorities, balance, and hard work. Today, I will talk to you about 3 areas that are vital to Bhutan, a small nation, and to any society. In my opinion, these are extremely important and determining factors in the successes of a society. In Bhutan's experience and in our Buddhist traditions, strong and compassionate leadership, unity and peaceful coexistence, and the rule of law are 3 vehicles that take us to a stronger and better future. Strong and compassionate leadership or good governance so far have guided Bhutan's journey. Bhutan's founder in the 16th century put in place a dual system of governance where the spiritual and the political coexisted in harmonious balance. and the laws, government, and Sangha were housed under one roof. He formed a distinctively unique Bhutanese identity, creating a sense of national unity and common purpose. Over 100 years, successive monarchs of the Wanchu dynasty were given the responsibility entrusted to them by the people to bring peace and stability to the country. From an absolute monarchy, Bhutan now emerges as a young democracy. Bhutan's democracy is unique in the sense that it is a collective national journey that we have long prepared for, and one which was designed and planned for by the kings themselves, guided by a profound philosophy and the highest standards of selfless service and leadership. The kings of Bhutan have shown and set the benchmark very high for all successive leaders. Leadership and good governance are essential to the progress of society. Enlightened leadership requires never forsaking the common good and losing sight of the larger objective of one's society. In doing so, leaders must govern with the qualities of wisdom and compassion. Good governance in this way can be achieved through cooperation, a sense of duty and responsibility to serve, the discipline for hard work, and the desire to be a part of the greater good. In our Buddhist traditions, we often use the term Dharma Raja and evoke the symbolism of the three precious jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. The three refuges in Buddha's teachings are that of the teacher, the doctrine, and the order. Similarly, the three jewels we often refer to in Bhutan is the Tsawa Sum, king, country, and people. It is wise leadership through good governance, a strong and stable order, and through a noble philosophy that we seek refuge and peaceful coexistence in. And in these words encompass Bhutan's view of our shared interest of sustainable happiness. The second is unity and harmony. This is the idea of state and society finding peaceful coexistence through a common purpose of shared values. Education is the most important and powerful medium to pass down the right values to the next generation and shapes the foundations upon which societies are built. Through value education, the development of self and responsible citizenship can be nurtured. To value oneself, one's surroundings, beliefs, traditions, and culture gives purpose and commonality, and that in turn brings awareness of what is truly important. It is these common values and philosophies that connect us. We must now find ways to create the right conditions so that it flourishes in our expressions, thoughts, and actions. If we are to share with the world something profound and of value, then we must first practice it. On an individual level, bettering oneself and one's society, and then collectively leading a life of example. Any other way would be insincere. The third factor is the rule of law. Without boundaries, we cannot escape chaos and strive for peaceful coexistence. A just and fair society led by wise and compassionate leadership and an educated citizenry aware of oneself and one's society, and united and guided by a common goal, can lead to the best possible outcome for any society. And if sustainable happiness is our purpose, then these priorities we must reflect and act upon. India is our closest friend and neighbor, and we have the greatest respect and appreciation for your heritage and culture in its depth, profoundness, and diversity. I wish the government and the people of Madhya Pradesh success in this noble venture, and may this conference bring forth self-reflection and discourse on these values inherent in our cultures and traditions, and in the spirit of Dharma Dhamma, unite us to preserve and enhance these values. Dhanyavad.
Your Highness, we are obliged to you for your kind words and the issues that you address, the very basic issues, values and sustainable happiness, and the Bhutanese model of gross national happiness. All our pursuits, be they conferences or study or academics, they are all oriented to happiness. So you have presented before us a very, very fair and beautiful model of living which both the traditions of Buddhist and Indic studies represent. Thanking you once again. I think we have a model in Madhya Pradesh also, because I have never stayed in Madhya Pradesh. This is my second visit, but the way things operate here, and when I had some hesitation in coming to this place, everybody told me the Chief Minister is a very good person and the people of Madhya Pradesh are very, very good. Being a student of language, as you have said, Your Highness, that Bhutan has a model. Here we have Shri Shivaraj Singh Chauhan, and if I may just, we have Samasa in Sanskrit, and if we do the Vigraha of the Samasa, Shiva Raj, Mangal state, welfare state, and Singh is the leader who tops. So he is the topmost leader of the welfare state, and add to that the word Chauhan, which is succeeding. So that speaks for the title is given to him by his family, but he has actualized the title, and we are very, very fortunate that his support and his initiative have actually given this opportunity to Sanchi University. Sanchi is a world heritage, the stupa, but let this university be a heritage of the world. Under your patronage, sir, I invite you for your presidential address.
इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में पधारी हुई भूटान की राजकुमारी, जिनका हम हृदय से आदर करते हैं, और जैसा उन्होंने कहा कि भारत और भूटान के संबंध बहुत ऐतिहासिक है, सांस्कृतिक है, और मैं भी उनको विश्वास दिलाता हूं, न केवल मध्य प्रदेश की ओर से बल्कि एक जिम्मेदार नागरिक के नाते अपने देश की ओर से भी, कि भारत और भूटान के संबंध न केवल बने रहेंगे बल्कि और प्रगाढ़ होंगे। और भूटान ने जो नया कॉन्सेप्ट दिया है, जीडीपी नहीं, ग्रॉस नेशनल हैप्पीनेस, ये नया संदेश है, और वास्तव में ये संदेश का मूल बुद्धिज्म भी है और हिंदुइज्म भी है। इस संदेश के लिए भी मैं उनका आभारी हूं। ऐसे हमारी भूटान की राजकुमारी आदरणीय आशीसोनम टेकन वांगचुक जी, मैं मध्य प्रदेश की जनता की ओर से उनका हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। मेरे मित्र श्रीलंका के वरिष्ठ मंत्री, और भारत और श्रीलंका तो पहले से भी ऐसे जुड़े हुए, लेकिन मध्य प्रदेश और श्रीलंका एक तरफ सीता जी का मंदिर श्रीलंका में और बुद्धिस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी यहाँ, इन्होंने हमको ऐसा जोड़ा है कि अब कोई तोड़ नहीं पाएगा। हमारे मित्र डॉक्टर शरद जी, हमारे जापान से पधारे हुए आदरणीय लियोनपो दोरजी, सांची बुद्धिस्ट और इंडक यूनिवर्सिटी के हमारे कुलपति आदरणीय रिम्पोचे जी, आदरणीय सिद्धेश्वर भट्ट जी, प्रोफेसर शशि प्रभा जी, मेरे मंत्रिमंडल के साथी और इस विभाग का जो काम देख रहे हैं भाई सुरेंद्र पटवा जी, श्री रामवत जी, ठहरो जी, जिन्होंने हमें जोड़ने का काम श्रीलंका से किया है, यहाँ उपस्थित देश दुनिया भर से आए हुए सभी विद्वान महानुभाव, बहनों भाइयों, सबसे पहले मैं आप सबका मध्य प्रदेश की इस पवित्र धरती पर मध्य प्रदेश की जनता की ओर से हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं। भारत की परंपरा है अतिथि देवो भव की परंपरा, गेस्ट इज गॉड, और मेहमान जो हमारा होता है वो जान से प्यारा होता है। मध्य प्रदेश की जनता की ओर से